Hey everyone, Kevin here. I just wanted to do a quick follow-up to the earnings preview video that we had done on Palantir last week. I made that video probably last Tuesday. I didn't release it till Thursday, I think. However, it's a week later. Earnings came out today, and probably a lot of you were thinking at this point, disaster averted. And you know what I mean if you actually looked at where the stock was trading once the earnings were reported, and this was before the market opened. Pre-market trading indicate the price was in the $16 to $17 range, and I'm sure that was probably stressing a lot of people out. And as I read through the earnings, I thought that was a pretty drastic response based on there, again, wasn't really any big surprises. Last week we had talked about earnings. The expectation was to come in about $332 million. Came up a little bit higher at 341. I had indicated last week if they hit around 360, that might have facilitated a nice jump. But what seemed to happen today was it wasn't what people wanted. The stock didn't look good initially. And then I think people digested the earnings and saw, you know what, they actually beat their revenue by a little bit. And they met their adjusted earnings at 4 cents a share, which again was meeting. So surprised that it was that drastic. And then the guidance actually was raised up from about $344 million for quarter two expectations up to about $360 million. So again, when I read this, I thought, well, this is more positive than probably I might have expected. But again, still no major surprises. And so what I think we saw is that people have been antsy with tech stocks anyways. Overall, NASDAQ was down pretty big coming into the morning. And then people saw the earnings. They didn't get the big beat that they were hoping. But again, very solid report. Again, no surprises. And I think as people started to digest this and knowing that the stock has really fallen a lot in the last week or so, really a couple weeks. And I think when we did that video, I think the stock was trading around $22 when I made it last week. So, and I sort of felt like it would still stay in that range. Now the stock over the past week did go lower than I thought it would have done before earnings. Again, that's just so much uneasiness out there. But so I think the response today, why it looks solid, again, this is about 2:10 Eastern, is that it's gotten close. It's been around $20 as I record this. I think it's just recovering some of where it's went down. It's went down probably more than it should have. Again, and I can still see it because the valuation is still pricey. And again, you're still talking about a company not profitable. And when you look at the net loss of the $123 million plus for the first quarter, that was actually more than double from last year's quarter one, which was at $54 million. Again, you're still talking about a company that's not profitable, and these are the kind of stocks in tech right now that have been really suffering. Again, high valuation, not profitable, and so Palantir has been in that. So I think that they've been stuck in this mode, and I think the stock with all the selling pressure recently has just responded, and so we had a nice little bounce back. Again, we're still below where we were a week ago, but it could have been so much worse. And again, if anybody's watching that stock price before the market opened, probably sweating it out a little bit if you own shares. So again, I'm just going to say disaster averted. But so the big question, of course, is where do we go now? And I think this is just the overall market that we're in. I mean, this is not last year. So right now, there's so many concerns out there. One of them, of course, is inflation, and that's a concern for a lot of companies that have a lot of debt. Palantir has manageable debt, so that doesn't make me feel like it's a company that really has to worry compared to some of the other growth companies out there. But I think with Palantir is, the easy money's gone. And so, over the past year, there's been many times I've said, and, I remember the comments from it, I feel like the stock was probably getting ahead of itself. I know even November, I probably said that twice in two videos then, that it probably was getting ahead of itself, and it really did. But again, when you look back to where the stock was when it opened in September and where it is now, this is probably pretty reasonable. But again, you're probably still looking at a company that has pretty high valuation. And while there's some downside risk, how low that could go, I don't know. Any type of recovery, any type of really good news for this stock could push it. And again, we're just not seeing that huge, great news. But again, you're not seeing it for anybody. So you're really talking about a company that's just sort of stuck in the market that we're in. And so to expect a big drastic move is Not saying it can't happen, but it's probably just unlikely. And again, I don't think that when people really digest this earnings over the next couple of days, it's going to really keep driving the stock up. I think it's going to stay in this range that it's been in, and that low to mid $20 range. And again, we were actually below that, which wasn't sure that we would do that before the earnings came out. Thought it could happen right before the earnings, like on Monday, but did not think it would start going even last week. So you just never know. But and I know there's just so much focus on Palantir, particularly from retail investors, and and I've looked. I'm not much one to watch other people's YouTube videos, but sometimes you want to see. I want to know where I'm ranking as far as in the search results, and I'll look at some of these other thumbnails, and constantly people have these price targets on them, and it's going to be 10 times. And at the end of the day, Palantir is, it's not this brand new company that's growing phenomenally. It's been around 20 years. They've only been public for less than a year, but they have some really solid strengths. At the end of the day, you still get measured by your financials and your growth and whatever. And the company still has opportunity for further growth. And they showed in their presentation that they had 11 new commercial customers so far this year. Again, that's growth. Those are the numbers that you may be led to believe that they're actually growing at. And, without those bigger numbers, and again, I think that's what people were hoping to see with the revenue. And I just felt before, I just didn't see that. And again, it beat a little bit, but not to the level it needed to really drive the stock up. And so when you see this bounce back today, I think it's a little bit of a recovery from what we've had over the past week, or really almost 2 weeks. And so keep that in mind. That's just my thoughts. It could be wrong. You guys can always tell me what you think, and please in fact tell me in the comments. But just remember, the market's changing. The easy money is gone. Everybody keeps trying to find where you're going to go to next. We started last year with IPOs, SPACs, crypto, NFTs. Everybody's trying to find the next thing to put their money in, and right now everything's pretty frothy. So when you're looking to where you want to put your money, you might want to start thinking about some of those more, I don't want to say safe, I don't want to say put it in a money market fund, but you might want to start looking at things like your broad index types of funds. Anyway, so that's just a quick update of where Palantir was from the earnings, and just some thoughts. People will want to know what the price target is. I don't know, but I'm not seeing something that is going to drive this stock way up in any time in the near future, and there's 2 reasons. One, the growth is steady, but not fantastic for a company that's already valued pretty highly. And 2, we're just in a market that, again, on the tech side has been really, really probably a little overbought. And so those pressures are going to hold the stock. Again, I still say this all the time. If you believe in the company, like, this is, again, probably just another buying opportunity. But if you're looking for that immediate, like you're going to sell it in 30 days and you think it's going to double, while it could, I mean, there might be something out there I'm not aware of, but right now I'm just not seeing it. Anyway, so with that, I'll just go ahead and end this video here for now. And as always, thanks for watching, and I will be talking to you guys soon. Take care.